it's live. Sometimes there's that pause there that causes me a little bit of a heartbeat there, wondering when it's going to pop up and tell me I'm live. And it has the strangest way of catching my face in the most awkward positions. So, hey, everybody, it's not Tuesday, it's Thursday, and we are live. And thanks so much for understanding that I wasn't here on Tuesday. I was in Pigeon Forge and had the opportunity to spend some time with my youngest, and we did some Christmas shopping and went eating, and we just got to hang out for the afternoon. And that is a few hours away, so I knew I wasn't going to be back in time to make 6:30 live. So we're here tonight, and I appreciate that you're here with me. And you'll notice that I had put in my little Grinch meme and saying just to say hello. I know this time of year we're so busy, and groups really sometimes can feel that, and my social media numbers feel that. And so I thought I would just remind you to say hi, just to keep everybody kind of involved and active. So, are we ready for Christmas? Because guess what? It's coming whether we're ready or not. I have decided that. And so, and it is here. So thanks for liking my shirt, Terry. And this came from Bucky's. I love it. I love the colors. I love the season, the reason behind the season, I should say. So really love it. And tonight we are going to talk about Embroidery Garden's sweatshirt, and I call them a kangaroo pocket. That's kind of what I always say that is. It's an in the hoop sweatshirt pocket, but I kind of think of that as a kangaroo pocket. And I'm going to show, of course, true Stephanie style, some different ways and some designs and some ideas for it. And I am going to put in here, I'll go ahead and do my own plug. This is my affiliate link with Embroidery Garden. So if you're going to be shopping, just use my little tag. It doesn't do anything for you, but it does do something small for me. And I always love supporting Embroidery Garden. And Reen has the best designs in the whole wide world. And for some reason, it's given me a hard time trying to post. So if it doesn't, I'll get it posted in the links. It's always something new with social media. It's trying to tell me to do one with StreamYard, and social media can be quite of a hassle sometimes and a little bit of a pain. And sometimes you go push the button to go live and it doesn't. So that's why I kind of get nervous every time, because it makes me a little bit. And so I am very happy to be an affiliate with Reen, and I'm very blessed of our friendship. And we all know she is the queen of In the Hoop designs. And I created a sweatshirt the other day, and I actually talked about this and taught it at a recent retreat. And then I got home and I kept talking about it. Don't you love all the Advent bags? So as I have been opening and shooting videos, I've left them behind me because I love that feeling of Christmas and I love those surprises. And it's good to see so many friendly faces and names out there. It makes me happy and it makes my heart happy. So what is a kangaroo in the hoop? This is the pocket. So it's a sweatshirt, and then you can attach your pocket. Now, for me, I love a sweatshirt, and I always would buy a hoodie just because I want that kangaroo pocket. But I don't really like hoodies because I don't like the weight that it puts back here in your neck, and it just makes my neck start hurting. And I know that sounds weird that it's just fabric, but the way it bunches up when you're driving and things, I don't really like. So a lot of times I will cut the hood off and have that raw edge to have the pocket because I don't want the hood. So all of those things said, so this is one, and I'm going to show you how extremely easy this is. And we all know that I'm laughing, don't make me, embroidery, we got the love for the embroidery machines. So Dolores, I'm so glad to hear. I hate that it hurts your neck too, but it does. And just like wearing aprons will bother my neck, but the hoodie, it bothers my neck. So I'm going to change views, and I see that Reen is in the house. And so hello. I'm singing your praises as always, but let me change camera views to show you how easy this is. So I have a poly no-show. I have a thin batting, and you could even go thinner than this one. And then I just have a quilter's cotton. So those, and this is 8x12 size. So I'm going to just put that over in my machine so that way you could see exactly what I had. And I'm going to hopefully just have to press go on my machine. And I've got that laid down. Now, I will say that fabric being directional will make a difference. So I'm going to show. I think I'm going to show. I have several samples over here. Oh, Sherry Ann, I'm excited that you got the Avenir for Christmas. That is such an incredible present to get. And Kristen, hang out just a little longer. You know, I'll talk you into. You need an embroidery machine. There's so much that we can do with one of those. And Dorothy, when you see this, it's just so fast, and it's doing the stipple right now. And this is the one that she includes with the file, but of course you could add your own stipple design in, either from doing it on the machine, or you could buy different designs. And Reen has, you could buy a design to have those done. And I'm going backwards because I feel like I missed some. I want to make sure that I got everybody here. And there, I think I got comments caught up. Hey, Jackie. Hey, Lucy. So good to see everybody. And so Gummy Bear, any questions, feel free to send me a message. I will be glad to give some helpful advice. I love to encourage, and there's machines that I would steer away from for a beginner, and some that I would definitely recommend for anybody. And Teresa, you're not even supposed to know that. She knows what she's getting for Christmas. So unfair. Not good. And I'm going to talk about, this is one of those things. There's so many different ways that you could use this file. And Kendra saw Gummy Bear PJs. I need them. I everything gummy. Somebody sent me Happy Mail, and I got a Gummy Bear pin minder that is adorable. And we're stitching, and the whole file has 2,100 stitches, if that says something. So that's how fast. So I'm going to slide this out, and I'm going to hold it so you can see. And then I'm going to change camera so that you can see the stipple. I used an aqua thread, hoping it would show up on camera. Yeah, that shows up beautifully. So that was, how fast. And then all I need is that fabric that I had sitting here just a moment ago. And right here, this is the pretty side. It's going to go down. I'm going to cover that, and we are going to stitch one more stitch here. And we're going to talk about directions. So earlier I said, you know, some fabric is directional. So you want to make sure when you're putting it on the hoop, the small end is the top, the large end is the bottom. That way, like this flamingo, he wouldn't be upside down. So certain fabrics definitely would make a difference on how you lay those down and stitch that. And sorry, my there we go. I was hitting my camera there. But that will make a difference. And that's how fast that this is done. So that's stitched. Done. That's how easy. So I am going to loosen my hoop. I'm going to move this out of the way. Let's just take that and move that out of the way just a little bit. Move out of the hoop. I'm going to take this hoop and move it out of the way. You know, when I say out of the way, that means I won't be able to find it tomorrow. So the first thing that I always do, if I have something that I need to close or whip stitch here, and then I take this, and typically I will just, I've got some tape right here. I take it and I tape that out of the way. I like taping it out of the way so that I don't accidentally cut that off, because you know I have in the past. And that way it's not a mistake. And then I just take scissors. Typically, I'll be honest, I usually would just use my rotary, but I don't have my mat set up right here, so I'm just going to do it real quick. And then I round the corners. And round again. And I'm just doing some little relief cuts. I'm not sure what that correct term is. Just where I would be turning. And you can just see I'm just doing some little cuts into the fabric, and it just helps it when you turn. Then I cut the bulk of this away. So I don't need this. And I don't need that liner. And then I'm going to turn this inside out. And Sherry Ann, I hope you recover quickly. It's no fun, especially during the holidays, to not feel well and to have surgery. And I'm just pushing those corners. And I'm going to just, you can see I didn't get a corner right up here. There we go. So this is our pocket. I would iron it. I'm going to turn this in and then just do a ladder stitch or whip stitch to close. No, sorry, not a ladder stitch. Never mind. Don't pay attention to that. I'm thinking about another thing that I was working on earlier. I'm just going to press this in, because the machine, when we sew it on, will close it. So don't pay attention to that. Cancel that, but I will iron it to get it to close nicely. I'm going to change to my other view here, and that way I'm going to take it over to my press. So you can see I have my heat press here. I would just throw it on. And clean all my little mess up. And that way I have it nicely pressed. I say nicely, but I really made a wrinkle right then. But I'll fix it. I'll fix it. So, we all know that I love Reen's directions, and I'm actually going to read them exactly so that you can see. We've turned everything. We are going to top stitch. I changed one so that you could see. We're going to top stitch just this part, because this is the pocket part. This is where your hands are going to go into the sweatshirt. So you would top stitch this first. And on the directions, she tells you to try on the shirt. Now, some of you, because I know us so well, you're going to say, oh, I don't need to try it on, but you do. So this sweatshirt, and I have two different ones here. This sweatshirt, when I tried it on, I liked the placement all the way down to the band. And this is top stitched here. And then all I do is sew here and sew here to attach it. So that's why you didn't have to worry about closing that, because the machine does it for you. So see how easy that was? I mean, it was stitch 2100 stitch. I think it 2186. That's how many stitches it took to create the file. And then if you like, you could do a decorative stitch like a candle wicking stitch, or you could match the theme and do a little decorative stitches again right here. And then you're going to pin it in place and sew it down. Try it on. Put your hands in, because on this sweatshirt, it went all the way down to the band. But on this sweatshirt, this one here, I've marked it so that I can show you. It's like 2 inches above the band where I'm going to sew this one on. So this one, longer, it's like quite a, that's 2 inches above that band. So please try them on before you sew it on, because you don't want your arms to be attached, in there. And I am going to, I'll show sewing it on. I'm just going to move my machine around just a little bit so that I can get to it. Just a little bit better. But while I'm doing that, because, I have this much of a camera space. And, I'm on camera. Of course, I didn't have my J-foot right here. So I'm grabbing that, but I will show you. As I move around, y'all like at least I have matching fuzzy pants on today. And I'm trying to move machine down so that I can show. So what I did is I folded my sweatshirt in half so that I could get a crease line. And then I matched the apron to it. And I'm going to show on this one and then stitch on the other one also. So that way you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So you can see there's a crease line. So I take this and I put it to the crease line and did. That way my folds match here through the folds to here. And then I'm going to pin and place. Here's the pin. I'm not going to stitch this. I'm going to stitch here, 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 here. So let me do that. Love, love. And let's see. I'm trying to see if I can get everything on camera without having everything that I needed right here. Let me turn on. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Amy. It's good to see you both. And I am changing views. I'm taking embroidery foot off. And do you think that I can find my screwdriver or my foot right this moment? Of course not. Because, you know, it is what it is. But I found my shank and now I'll walk over and try to get my... And whenever it was last done, somebody used Mighty Hands. And, you know, I usually have a quarter on my machine. Let me get a foot in my screwdriver. You know, brother is serious about their feet and about their stuff. Always, always. So here's a foot. And now let's see if I can find my screwdriver. So on this one, Allison, I have a thin batting. And this pink shirt, Barbara, they came from Jiffy Shirts. And it's called Safety Pink. And they're Gildan. And they're really, really nice sweatshirts. I really am pleased with them. Like I said, I just did retreat and we all used this sweatshirt. Patrick, hey, what's up? Good to see you. It's good to see friends in the house. So I now have sewing foot on. I now have got everything ready because, you know, it takes a minute sometimes. And I'm going to start. So you can see I'm going to attach here first and then stitch. So I'm going to move this and then I'll show you also. And I used a teal so that, and we're going to do a scant edge first, and then we can go back and do a top stitch. That way I have it in place. Let's change that. And of course, enforce and cut. So I have attached this top piece. So you can tell that piece is attached. And now I'm going to go side, down, and side. So get that put on. And this is a quick, easy And you know, if I'm willing to do this on camera, it can't be that complicated because you know I don't sew in front of y'all very often. So it's not that hard. If I can do it, you can do it. And I love that pivot. And now I'm going to do the bottom, and that was why I didn't have to worry about closing that, because this stitch right here is going to close it for me. So Reen did all the work thinking that through for us. And I think that I just stuck myself with the pen when you saw me jump. I think that it would look nice to do a decorative stitch on the sides. I didn't, but I did think about that after the fact. You know, we always think of those great things after the fact. And now I'm just doing a pivot, and I'm going to do that next side. And then definitely reinforce, because you know you're going to have your hands in and out, in and out, in and out. But you can see, you know, now I'm ready for hands. Hands. Take my pen out, that might help. Hands. So that's how quick. And if I can do it on a live with the camera, and you know how hard that is, then you can do this very quick. So I also did a design at the top that was kind of a tropical design that pulled in some of these colors. They are on in my group because we took pictures and posted them. But I love how this looks with that dark fabric versus, I'm going to pin this one so you can see the one that I stitched on the camera. And then we're going to talk about some other ideas. And so this is what it would look. So see how different it is with the light fabric? And I'll show that overhead so that you can kind of see both of them at the same time. I love just how your fabric can make things look different. So tell me what you think. And tell me, do you like dark or light fabric? Let me know in comments which one that you like. And it might just, you know, depend on the time of year. But see how it looks with that light fabric versus with that dark fabric. But I love both of those and would use both of those. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. And so show you, this is, you know, that same kind of fabric, and how with this mustardy color, it looks different than it would with that pink. And throw that. And then let's talk about some other sweatshirts. So what if you had like this camo? And this is a very, very, it's almost like a thick t-shirt, sweatshirt. And that, so tell me, what would you put on here on this type of fabric for a pocket? And then this is a New York. And see how there's nothing here? A navy pocket I could add to it, or I could do like a blue plaid. And then since Patrick's in the house, I didn't have this planned, but here's my Detroit Tigers ready to roll. And I would do a blue pocket. Now, does it have to be a quilter's cotton? Or could you stitch something else? So imagine this is a t-shirt. So this was a t-shirt that I cut. And you can see I did not put a quilter's cotton. I didn't put any batting. So I want this thin to go onto something like a long sleeve thin t-shirt, and this is not ironed. But see how you don't have to have, it doesn't have to be a quilter's cotton. So here I could use, and this is a very lightweight to stitch onto. So I would do this with an orange thread to add to here. So I'm going to change this view just a little so that you can see what I mean. So if I had my Detroit Tigers, I could add this in that navy, but I would choose obviously an orange thread. And see how that gives this a girly look just by adding that pocket. So look here, here. This is why I love this design. I love how you could take, and again, this is just, it's a, you know, a inexpensive t-shirt that had a stain on it, and I cut it, stitched it. This is a built-in stipple, and then I would stitch it on. And I'm going to put this on another project, but I like the idea, and I'll probably make one tonight and do an orange thread. And I may do the flowers, or I may do a different stipple. But that lets you see how quick. So here it just interviewing that. That's what it looks like with that pink. If I added navy to this New York, you know, I could do white thread or keep it tone on tone. There. And for this camo, you know, just adding some of that color really changes the look of that camo. But, you know, what time of year are we in right now? So if you have, you know, just that plain white sweatshirt, you could do, this is lollipops for the holidays. This one is that Christmas ribbon candy. Or maybe you would like just some holly. So those three fabrics, very, very Christmassy, and really change the look between them. This with a red, this one, or this one. So just seeing the different colors, you could definitely do something for just that white or red or green sweatshirt. And this was just having some holiday fabric on hand. Now, and this again, this is more of a quilter's cotton here. But you could use, you know, t-shirt material, any color. You could use your favorite, you know, flamingo. And all of those are just different ideas of what you could create using here. Sorry, you see my keyboard here when I move that. No worries. And Reen is correct. You could do a sublimated. And I'm going to grab something. Y'all talk amongst yourselves for just a moment. And the stipple is from my from the Luminaire machine, the one that was the floral. I'm going to grab something. Okay. I wanted to grab these. These are called, here, it is called Super Soft Microfiber Cloths. And these are from the Dollar Tree. And they feel like a fleece. It's just one of those microfiber bags. So Reen said you could sublimate. This is 100% polyester. So you could sublimate your own fabric design, or 'tis the season, or something snarky, or something funny, or, naughty list, endless things that you could, write, press straight to it, and then stitch that on. And you saw how fast that stitch was. I mean, it's lickety split. So this is definitely something that you could sublimate and then add that to it. And these are microfiber. You could use a polyester. I just love how this would feel. I just like that feeling of it. So does this kangaroo pouch have to go on a sweatshirt? No, it does not. It could go on a bag. So if you ever had one of those drawstring bags and you want to have a pocket on the outside of it, so this would be, I've got that same one. This could be something that you could add to just a drawstring bag and then tack it on, and then you could stick stuff in it on the outside. Pretty cool, huh? I'm not the first person to have that idea, because this was a bag, and Patrick would recognize it if he's still here. These were some bags that we had gotten to do samples on, and they're not, dirt cheap. So you could make your own, but here is a bag and it has exactly that. So you could make your own drawstring bag. I think Needlequirks does a great job on some drawstring bags, but then you could have that coordinating little pocket. And to me, that just dresses that up, of having, that different fabric. You could embroider a name on it before you go to stitch it on any of these. You could add that name or that saying, or like I said, you could change the stipple. But I love fast. I love things that change the look. And to me, I'm a Goodwill girl. I don't lie about it. I don't hide that fact. I love Goodwill. So going in there, and sometimes you'll find a sweatshirt that you love, but maybe you love a saying off of it. So the one that I'm going to do next, I've got a measure, and I couldn't find it for some reason, because I have been out of town and working and traveling and doing. It's got a saying. The sweatshirt doesn't fit and it has a stain on it, but I want to cut the design off and make that part of my kangaroo pouch. So that's the next thing that I'm going to do. But again, you saw I used a t-shirt and made it very thin to put on a long sleeve t-shirt. I used sweatshirt, and I used some quilter's cotton. Some other ways for you to be able to create this wonderful design from Embroidery Garden. And and now that this would be something else I now would try to have that plushness and to add that design. And I love a pocket. We know I love a pocket. I want them on my pants. I want them on now every dress or skirt that I buy. I will not buy something because I'm like, it doesn't have a pocket. I need a pocket in my life for everything. So I have had a great Thursday night live. Tonight, it is not Tuesday night tacos, but it is Thursday night beef stew. And Ron's been cooking it all day long, and I am smelling it. I can't wait to go get some of that and some bread and butter. So I can't wait to see you again next Tuesday night. We'll be here. And y'all have a great night, and keep celebrating and keep making beautiful things. And again, if you're going to buy this design or any others, I would love if you would use the affiliate link that I put in the comments. I will later post that link on my page and pin it so that it's there. But if you forget, it's not a big deal. I always want you to support Embroidery Garden. And I am glad that I get to be part of it sometimes. So y'all have a great night, and I will see you very soon. Bye, gang.